Ever since the beginning of gaming kind, there's always been games that stood the test of it, and there's always been games that have been forgotten by the wayside. There are some games that just stick with us as years go on. It could have been 10 years ago, it could have been 8, could have been 20. Doesn't matter. Sometimes there's a game that just sticks with us. And for some people, those games are different. For somebody, it might be their first platformer. For other people, it might be their first action game. For some others, it might be their first Pong. For me, it was this game. As I was trying to figure out what this video was going to be, I felt like no matter what I decided, I was never going to do this game justice. There's so much in this game that I would love to talk about, and I feel like I'm just not going to give it its time. However, I'm going to do my damn best. There are other people in this community that have done this exact same thing I'm doing, and I implore you that if you finish my video and you still want to know more or find somebody else's perspective, go check out these other amazing people that have given this game some light. Because at the end of the day, we all love this game. And even if our reasonings are very different from one another, we can all say we love Chrono Trigger. So please, sit back, relax, and come with me on this long-winded explanation of this amazing journey. And I hope, by the end of it, you kind of could see where I'm coming from. This is the story of Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger would not be possible without the creative mind of Hironobu Sakuhachi, Yuji Horii, and the most iconic character design of Akira Toriyama, and all of it just was brought together by the amazing composer Yoshinori Mitsuda. Without the work of all these amazing individuals, this game would not be possible. However, even though I say that, the four of them did not make this by themselves. They had an entire team behind them. And even though I'm not going to be able to say all their names here, they deserve just as much respect as these four legendary individuals. Which, by the way, some have legendary achievements under their belts. Hironobu Sakuhachi at this time created Final Fantasy. Akira Toriyama, practically for anybody like myself, is a household name. And even after his death, his work of Dragon Ball Z has inspired many people to create beautiful stories. I am not surprised that this game is under their belts as one of the greatest things they've ever created. So enough about these legendary developers, let's go into another aspect of the game I would like to talk about before we get onto the story, and that is the combat system. Now, Chrono Trigger has an active combat system, and if I remember correctly, during the original game that was released during 1995, they also had a wait system as well, which was a good way for any people that weren't really quick on their feet to have a bit of a better opportunity during a fight. Now, for me, I usually play on the active system. That sense of every attack had to matter, you had to be quick or you were going to get hit. Didn't matter if you're in your menus, the fight kept moving forward. It gave a sense of urgency with every one of your attacks, and you had to be planning multiple steps ahead. Now, this combat system should look very, very familiar. Which it should. The man that designed the combat system for Chrono Trigger is Akihiko Matsuri. He's the same man that designed most of the Final Fantasy combat system as well. So everything here should look roughly familiar to anybody that really played any of these JRPGs. So during combat, you're going to have three select things you could do. You have your basic attacks, and that is going to be your melee and range attack depending on what character you're using at the time. You then have your technical abilities. Now, technical abilities are special abilities that every party member has to their arsenal. Now, for Chrono, it's going to be a lot of sword-based attacks, and when you do get magic in the game, it's going to be lightning-based attacks. For other characters, such as Marle, she will have healing abilities plus ice magic. And every character is in a different category of what they are designed to do. Some characters are powerhouses, some are support, some are a good in-between. Because of all their unique abilities, making a party team is part of the fun. Just like with any other JRPGs, creating a party is going to be part of your strategy. Since you can only have access to 3 party members at a time, making a team comes down to what type of team you really want to have during battle. Do you want a team that's fully stacked with nothing but hard hitters? Do you want a full support team, or do you want something in the middle? Each one is very viable in this game. However, the more you play with a certain team layout, the more your technical points come into matter. Like I said earlier, when you get more technical points, you gain more abilities. And that is true also when you gain certain abilities, you actually get access to something new in Chrono Trigger's combat system, and this is the combo system. Now, combo systems is a combination of two of your character's technical abilities. So, one of the earliest ones you're going to get is called Fire Whirl. This is a technical combat ability that is used between Chrono and Luca, with Chrono spinning in his cyclone while Luca shoots her flamethrower onto him, causing an area effect of fire damage. This is great for taking care of large field of enemies, especially if they have a weakness to fire. And I believe this is a great time to introduce the enemies of Chrono Trigger. There's a large variety of them, just like in any JRPG. However, there's a difference with how they move during combat. Well, just like a player, they have an action meter. This action meter fills up and then they could attack just like a regular player can. However, the difference is that they do not stand in place. A lot of JRPGs battle system have a thing that when you're within combat, the enemies do not move and the player does not move. In Chrono Trigger, it does not work that way. The player can't move, however, the enemy will walk across the entire screen of the map, which means placing your attacks matter. If you use an area of effectability like Chrono's Fire Whirl with Luca, you have to make sure that the enemies are close enough together that they will be within the attack. Like some attacks like Chrono's Wind Slash, you have to make sure the enemies are in a straight line one behind the other. If not, you are going to miss the attack. It really makes placing your attacks at the right moment very, very crucial, because if you don't, you basically wasted an attack. And sometimes it happens, they move very fast, maybe they'll do an attack that allows them to move to a different part, and it ruins your idea. And where the battle system comes to be at its best is during its boss battles. During the boss battles, you are going to have to use everything you know to win. Now, the boss battles are very difficult, and some are more difficult than others. However, they are not unbeatable. The way the developers pace the game is you don't really need to grind. If you fight the enemies that you come across and you just go where you need to go, you should be around the right level to beat the enemies in question. And sometimes you just need a little bit more strategy just to really get that win. So one of the boss battles I'm going to use for example is the Masamune boss fight. This is a boss fight you will have to go on your second go around in the year 600. During this fight, you are going to be fighting two brothers that merge into one. The first part of the fight is not that difficult. The second part of the fight, a little differently if you are going in with just attack power. You could go into this boss fight and just attack, heal, defend, attack, and you will win over time, but you're going to have a hard time. Just like I did when I was younger, I died multiple times. It wasn't until later I decided to switch up the strategy and I realized that Masamune is one of the few bosses that could be put to sleep with Luca's Hypno ability. And this is the way you win. You use the Hypno ability and put one of the brothers to sleep, and then you attack the other and rinse and repeat until you win. Do you need to muscle your way through it? You can, 100%. You can muscle your way through any fight in this game. However, you are going to have a harder time. The same thing could be said about the Gollum sisters later on in the game. They are under the same impression and they are very, very difficult together. They both have the ability to have your HP with one attack. And with both of them hitting twice, well, you're going to be dead faster than you could heal yourself. Especially with how quickly they could attack compared to you. In this case, again, Luca's Hypno ability was the key to defeating them. You can put one sister to sleep and focus your attack on the other while healing, and keep putting the sister to sleep if they wake up, and after you beat the one sister, you jump onto the next one. That's what makes Chrono Trigger's combat system so amazing. There's a lot of trial and error when you're fighting a boss, and that's where it comes into your team format. Even though that your team members do level up when they are not in combat, they do not get technical points. So it's always a good idea to switch out your party members to get technical points so that they actually get abilities that may be able to help you later on. As much as I would like to keep talking about the combat system, and I could keep talking about it, and I might touch on it later on through the videos as more boss battles come up that I feel like deserve to be pointed out, we're going to be switching up to the next aspect that I feel brings Chrono Trigger together, and it is the music. The music in this is absolutely beautifully done. Every soundtrack is tailored to what is happening, whether it's to give you joyous feeling of being at a fair, or a sense of dread of a ruined land, or perhaps the old-timing feel of a prehistoric time. Each piece of music that was created for this game fits the atmosphere it's in and is so recognizable when you hear it. Whether it's the heroic beats of your character doing something amazing, whether it's the sad melancholy sound of losing a loved one, or perhaps it's just relaxing, which hopefully you can feel as I've been playing music from Chrono Trigger within this video already, and I'm going to keep playing it throughout certain points of this video. And hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. The soundtrack was beautifully done, and there's a reason why it's remembered by so many people years after it came out. It's just that iconic to people that played this game. Just listen to the battle music. The battle music does give you a sense of just being an epic battle, but when you jump into a boss battle song, it elevates that feeling way above the normal. Now I know I didn't sit in the music section of this video just as long as the action section, and I'm doing it a great disjustice. However, I do need to move on to the next portion of this video, which is going to be the biggest majority of all this altogether, and it is the story of Chrono Trigger, and there is a lot to uncover for this 16-bit game, and I will be explaining it all here with you today, and at the end I will be talking about my thoughts about the game, and I might have something a little special at the end as well. To start the game off, we are shown an overworld, green and beautiful, with birds chirping, and you could hear fireworks going off, and by the looks of it, there's a fair going on in town. As we fade into our own house, we're awoken by a woman calling our name, Chrono. It's our mom. As she gets up and gets us ready for the day, tells us that Linnell's bell is sounding very beautiful and that the fair is on its way, she tells us that we gotta get up and go see our friend Luca. Luca is a friend of ours that is an inventor that is currently showing off one of her inventions at the fair today, and we are gonna go see how she's doing. So, after talking to Mom and getting some pocket money, we're on our way. As we kind of head out into the overworld, we're going to realize something very different compared to other JRPGs. The overworld is safe. There are no enemies that are going to randomly pop out at you. Everything is safe when you're in the overworld. The overworld is for pure exploration. And that's very different at the time. A lot of games at this time would have you walk from point A to point B and get into a bunch of combat scenarios. Not Chrono Trigger. When you're in the overworld, you go at your leisure, you walk around. The enemies are on the actual map itself, and you could see them wandering around and you could go fight them. It's very, very different, and you kind of see what you're getting into as you're exploring the game. After some time exploring the overworld, we head to Millennial Fair, and we are seeing that everything is up and going. There's a bunch of fairgoers, there's a bunch of tents put up, and we are allowed to explore the fairgrounds as we see fit. We could go around, play some games, talk to vendors, anything you want to do, you could really just explore here for the time being. Eventually you'll walk into the next section and you'll get hit by a girl walking around, and you're both sent flying in two different directions. Unfortunately for her, her pendant flies off with the hit. As she gets up, she realizes her pendant's missing and she becomes distraught. As we get up, we find the pendant and we give it back to her, making her overjoyed and asked to join us around the fair, which we agreed to and learn her name is Marl. With Marl accompanying us, we're allowed to just go around the rest of the fairgrounds, enjoying our time. We could go dance with the locals, we could have a drinking challenge just for fun. There's a little girl here that's missing her cat and we could return it. And in the far back, there's a singing robot that you could fight! All this is just a sense of just joyous occasion. Here, you're just allowed to have fun, enjoy yourself, and just do what you will. You can gain points and just eventually get some really good gear, but you don't really have to. It's just there for you to do it if you so please. After some time, Luca will be ready to show off her invention and we head on over. And as she sees us, she's asked us for a little bit of help. As we jump onto the machine turns on and just goes without any issues whatsoever. We teleport from one side to the other. Everybody's ecstatic and we could do this as many times as we please. However, After a bit of time, Marl will want to test it out herself. As she jumps on, things go horribly wrong, and she opens up a portal and is sent through with no idea where she landed. With everybody panicking, we take it upon ourselves to go after her. We pick up the pendant that was left behind, and we go through the same portal that she went through. As we land in an unfamiliar forest, we're then jumped by a bunch of fiends. After a quick combat encounter and fighting a few more fiends coming down the mountain, we end up coming out in a very familiar yet unfamiliar world. Layout looks the same, but there are things missing. As we go into town, we realize that there's no home for us to come back to. Everything seems a little bit more bleak, so as we head to the inn, we see there's a bunch of soldiers from the castle and some local goers that are just hanging out, having some drinks, eating, and they're all talking about Magus's army. Never heard of Magus's army in our time, so something seems off. People start commenting on our gear, saying that it looks foreign, and they're asking if we're part of the Fiend Lord's army. It's very confusing. However, there is talk that the queen was found up in the mountains that we just currently came down from. So, with the thought of maybe the queen having answers about where Marl's at, we head up to the castle. We fight some fiends, and once we get there, we get slightly harassed by the guards, only to be saved by Queen Linnell herself. As the queen comes in, says that we are honored guests, she asks us to meet her in her chambers. Before going up, we make our acquaintances with the king, and he says that his queen has been acting very weird since she came down from the mountains. Odd. So, as we go up to do a talk to the queen, she informs us that she's actually Marl, and apparently she has an uncanny resemblance to the queen. After a bit of time, she says that she had a feeling we'd come for her, but before we could get her home, she vanishes in a beam of light. With more questions than answers, we head back down, only to run into Luca, who somehow followed us here. We let Luca know about what happened to Marl, and with her genius intellect, she comes to the conclusion that Marl is actually Princess Nadia of our time, which would make her the descendant of Queen Linnell. With this in mind, she comes to the conclusion that when Marl was found in the mountains, the search party for Queen Linnell was called off, which broke our timeline. The queen was never saved, she was never brought back home safely, which means Marl's ancestors will never be born, which means that what happened was her being erased from existence. So, to get her back, we have to go find the real queen. So with Luca by our side, we head out to go save the queen, and while we were at the tavern, we did hear her last location was at the cathedral outside of the castle. As we go in, we walk past a few nuns and we find a royal hair pendant on the floor, proving that the queen was here. As the nuns realize this, they all turn into fiends and me and Luca are in a battle. As we defeat the fiends, one fiend pops out and attacks Luca with a surprise. Before any more damage could be done, a figure falls from the ceiling and kills the fiend in question. We are greeted by an anthropomorphic frog, wearing armor and a sword on his side. As he greets himself, Luca starts freaking out, and he tells us that he is here to save the queen, and that he would accompany us if that is what we wish. A little reluctant feeling from Luca, Frog then joins our crew. Now we are a party of 3. As we go through this underground cavern, we fight all the fiends within it, and when we get to the end, we are greeted by the Chancellor of the castle, to only be told that he was a fake. The Chancellor then turns into a giant fiend, and we are in a boss battle. After a bit of back and forth, we come out victorious. After we're victorious in the boss battle, we are actually able to save Queen Linnell herself, and we are able to find the real Chancellor. Taking them back home, we then are able to go back up to the chambers and see Marl come back into existence. As we leave, we bid our farewell to the castle and to Frog, and we go home. Under Luca's suggestion, we take Marl back to the castle to make sure she gets home safely, only to get slightly harassed by the guards once again. And as we are there, the Chancellor comes out, says that we have kidnapped the princess herself, and decides that we should be arrested for this. As we are taken into custody, we then have a trial to see if we are guilty or not. During this trial, we have a bunch of people coming into our character defense. Now, the entire time at the fair was our test of character. The more good you did, the better your character defense is. The more bad you did, or the way you answer certain questions, well, the less likely so. Regardless of how the trial goes, whether you're fully innocent or fully guilty, the Chancellor would take it upon himself to send you straight to the gallows. So, we got 3 days time, so let's get the hell out of here. Once we wake up, we're going to start making a ruckus that will have the guards come in and slightly harass us once more, and we'll give him a little bit of harassment back, and that will be our start to get the hell out of here. As we make our escape, we start sneaking around the entirety of this castle, leaving nothing in our wakes and no bodies that will lead us to be prosecuted later on in life. At the entrance of this part of the castle, we actually run into a guard that seems to make an escape, but gets knocked out by Luca respectively. As we shift through his pockets, we could actually find some support items, which the number is a correspondent to how many people found us not guilty during the trial, which will help us out here shortly. As me and Luca make our escape together down the last bridge, we actually run into the Chancellor one more time, who sends his dragon tank after us, and we're in for another battle. After another difficult battle, we destroy the dragon tank and the Chancellor comes out to try to fix it, only to get blown up with the tank and a few of his soldiers, which they make a nice makeshift bridge for us to get the hell out of here. We make our escape one more time, and we start slightly getting harassed by the guards once more. Second verse, same as the first, Marl comes out, protects us one more time, but this time she is not taking it and decides that it is time to run away from the castle. Being chased down by the guards into the forest, we actually run into a second gate. We don't know where this one's going to take us, but Marl suggests it's a lot better than what's about to happen to us now, so we jump in. As soon as we land, we realize a few things: that where we landed is a lot more advanced than anything we've seen so far. Luca comments on this as well, and as we make our way outside, we realize that this is barren. Compared to the other timeline we're in, there's no grass whatsoever. We could only assume that something really bad happened to this world sometime after that event, but we don't have time. As we look south, we do see another dome there, and once we enter, we do see signs of life. However, they're barely holding on to hope. Everybody looks famished, they look like they're in rags, and even if they do have a machine that does restore their vitality, it does nothing for your hunger. As we talk to the locals in this dome, they inform us that there is another civilization on the other side of the ruins, and that they should have food supply there. As we go across the ruins and fight all the monsters across the way, we do make it to the second dome of civilization, and once we enter there, everybody is pretty much some of the same. Once we talk to the elder of this dome, he informs us that they do have a reserve of food, however, it is behind a security system. They sent somebody down there a while ago, but they never came back. So as a group, we go down there just to see what happened to this individual and see if we can get their food reserve, and as we go down there, we fight the supercomputer's defense system. After a long felt battle, we make it to the reserves, only to find out it's all rotten. There's nothing left. And the band that came down here, he made it past the system, but unfortunately he passed away. All that was left was a note and one seed. The note informs us how to get past the locked door that will lead us to the supercomputer itself, and as we make our way down, we actually find out what happened to this world. Apparently in the year 1999, there was a travesty that wasted this world away. That travesty was named Lavos, a creature that buried itself through the earth just to wreak havoc on the surface. Apparently after this event, life on the surface was very difficult. Even though some people did survive, it was just barely, and hope was gone. After realizing this is what's in our future, Marl has a slight breakdown and decides that we have to do something to prevent this to our world. But we have bigger problems, and our biggest problem is how to get out of here. With a little bit of genius intuitivity from Luca, she finds out there's another reading very similar to the gates that we know on the other side of this ruin. So, we make our way back up. We give the elder the news that the reserves are gone, the man is dead. But this seed that we brought back is a symbol of hope. If he could take care of this seed, there is a chance that he could bring life back to this earth. With that in mind, we make our way through the ruins one more time, and with a gift from the elder, he gives us his old jet bike that we could race across the ruins if we so please. Once we get to the other side, we go to the dome in question, only to find a broken down robot. With Luca's genius skills, she was able to bring the robot back to operating order and change its directive so it does not attack us. When the robot comes back to operating power, the robot informs us that its name is R66Y. However, Marl doesn't really like that name, so we decide to call it Robo. Robo then informs us that the power in this station is turned off, and the only way to do that is back north at the other robotic station that is close by. We leave Luca here, and Robo and Maro accompany me to this station. As we go up to this facility, we fight anything that stands in our way, and we get to the section of this base that we need to turn the power back on, just long enough for Luca to open up the door. However, during our escape, Robo's siblings do stop us, and they slightly harass Robo. Another battle of us harassing his brothers, we are able to drag Robo back to Luca for her to repair him for a few hours. After his repairs are done, he decides that he would like to join us. Now we're a party of 4. As soon as we jump into the portal altogether, something goes horribly wrong and we're sent careening past time. And we land in a location that looks like it's in the middle of nowhere. All we have is just this old man here to greet us. He informs us that we are at the end of time. With this, he also tells us these gates are too unstable to handle more than 3 people jumping through it all at once. So we're gonna have to leave somebody here for the time being. After getting taught some magic from the war being over here, we are able to leave this place at once. The old man informs us that the light pillars are times of light. Each one connected to a different time zone. Since we don't have any reason to go far back in time or go back to the future, we could actually go back to our present time. Once we step through, we actually land in a wardrobe of a fiend's house. Once we exit, we actually realize this is an entire town of fiends. And there seems to be something happening in the center of it. As we enter, we do see the fiends worshipping Magus, the fiend lord from the year 600 that we left from with Frog. And apparently, there's talks about reawakening Lavos, so we do have a destination now. But we have to find another gate that will allow us to go back to the year 600, so we gotta find a way back home. After we leave the town, we head to the other side of the island to only find a lonesome house where we could actually find old man Melchior. He was actually one of the people at the fair earlier, so there is a way to get back. We go into the mountains just north of his house and we fight through the entire fiends that are living there and also defeat the boss that is standing in front of a whirlpool. As we jump in, it actually shoots us right outside of Luca's house, which is very beneficial. Now we could just run to the fairgrounds and use a portal to get back to the year 600. As we make it to the castle, we find out the king is not doing so well. As we go to his bedchamber to see how he's doing, he informs us that he's grown too old for this, and since Sir Cyrus is now gone, the only hope they have is a young boy with a hero's badge. He then informs us this boy has been sent out to go find the blade that could slay Magus. So we're gonna go find him and see if we can help him out. The king informs us the boy went to the southern continent, so we gotta make our way there. However, once we get to the bridge, there is an all-out battle. With a little bit of help from our side, we are able to turn the tides in this and actually free the bridge from fiend control. As we reach the southern continent, we actually talk to a bunch of the locals, and they're all talking about the Fiend Lord's army, the boy with the hero's badge, and the legend of the Masamune that can slay the evil man Magus. As we head to the mountains in the southern continent, it actually doesn't take us a lot of time to find the boy with the hero's badge, because as soon as we defeat a few fiends, he's running out of there. He informs us the place sucks and that it's so dangerous and that we should run away, but we gotta keep trucking forward. Hopefully we'll see him later on, but we keep going across the mountains, fighting fiend after fiend after fiend until we get to the end of a cave. In this cave, we're greeted by 2 young boys named Masa and Mune. As we inform them that we're here for the magical blade, they decided to turn into their true selves and fight us. During this difficult boss battles, the brothers then stop and say that we are actually a lot stronger and it's been a very long time since they felt like they've had to try. So, they merge into one and they fight us again. During an even more difficult boss battle, once we defeat them, they decided that we are worthy to carry the Masamune. As soon as they merge together, they go within the blade, and when the blade comes out, it's broken. It's missing its hilt. It's incomplete. We take what we can and we head down the mountain, and once we head down, we go look for the boy. He ran home. He informs us that he doesn't actually deserve this badge. He actually found it after he bumped into a gentleman that dropped it at a tavern, and he said the gentleman looks similar to a frog. With that in mind, we take the badge and we go looking for our friend. As we find Frog's home and we introduce ourselves once again, he seems overjoyed to find us, but after hearing the Majesty is hurt, he would like to be alone. After we present him the hero's badge, he looks at us and informs us that he can't do it. He would need the legendary blade of the Masamune, but even if he had it, he doesn't even deserve to wield it. Frog is sad, broken, would like to be alone as he walks away. As we open one of his chests, we actually do find the hilt that we are looking for. He's in possession of the second half of the Masamune. And as we put the blades together, a name appears on the side. Melchior. The old man that we found just previously in present time. On why his name is on a blade that is so ancient is not understood just yet. But we do have our next destination. We have to go back to our present time and see if maybe he knows how to fix this blade. As we go and see the old man, he is very surprised to see the Masamune. And as that confirms that he does know this blade and that is his name, he tells us that this is a very long story to tell, but now is the time to fix the blade, and he just does not have the ingredients to do so. He is missing a red stone that is primarily only found in the very far distant past. It is very rare to find nowadays. So, we have a new destination. As we go to 65 million BC, we land in a prehistoric time and we get jumped by a bunch of reptiles, only to then be saved by a young cave woman. She introduces herself as Ayla, and she informs us that she really likes us because we are strong individuals. With this, she actually invites us to her village to celebrate. As we end up going to the village, a full party is commenced in our honor of strong individuals, and we party with all the villagers. As we ask Ayla about this red stone, she does inform that she actually is in possession of it and that it passes from whoever's the strongest. So she challenges us to a drinking challenge. So after we drink her under the table, we win by default and we party for the rest of the night. As we wake up the next day regretting our life decisions, we actually find out that we are missing our gate key. This entire place got ransacked while we were asleep and our gate key is missing. That means we don't have a way to get back home. As we inform Ayla that we had some stuff stolen from us, she tells us that it might have been the reptiles and that we need to go get our stuff back. As we follow the tracks, it leads south to the forest maze, and as we go there, we actually ran into another villager named Kino. Kino then informs us that he was jealous of how much attention Ayla was giving Chrono for him being so strong, that he actually stole our stuff. But he ended up losing it to the reptiles and wanted to get it back before Ayla got mad at him. Ayla being frustrated, calling Kino an idiot, we actually end up going to go find the gate key and getting past the forest maze ourselves. As we make it through the compound, we actually run into Azala, which seems to be a lot more well-spoken than anybody we've met so far, but she has our gate key. She's the leader of the reptiles, and as we defeat one of her guards, she decided that this was not worth it and drops the gate key for us, and as she runs, she declares that the reptiles will rule the world at some point. As we get our key back and the redstone, we make our way back to Melchior, where he actually uses the help of one of our party members to reforge the Masamune in all of its glory. With the reforged blade, we head back to the year 600 to give it to Frog. While Frog is presented with this blade, he's conflicted, asks just for a bit of time, and he goes through an entire memory lane sequence. As Frog remembers his past, we actually learn that his real name is Glenn. He was just a boy, and Sir Cyrus was his friend, and he looked up to Cyrus. Cyrus was one of the best knights in the kingdom, and he went on his way to basically find the Masamune and defeat Magus. With Glenn by his side, they actually go find the hero's badge, and they go find the Masamune. Unfortunately for Cyrus, they ran into Magus, and he was no match. With Cyrus' last strength, he tried to protect Glenn, and Magus kills him. Ozzy felt amused that Glenn was such a coward. So he actually makes a suggestion to change his outward appearance to fit what he really was, a frog. As Glenn was turned into this frog, he falls down the mountainside to only wake up with the badge in front of him, feeling regret that his best friend, the man he looked up to, is gone, and he blamed himself for that. With his new resolve, he carries Cyrus's will upon himself. He informs us that he doesn't know if his skills will be enough, but our blade is his and he will join us to defeat Magus once and for all. With Frog remembering his past, remembering Cyrus, remembering his regret, he stands tall. With the blade in hand, he slices this mountain apart, opening up an entrance for him and his comrades, and they are on their way. As we make it to the mountain path, we actually come out on the other side in front of an entire tower. This is Magus's lair, and as we enter, we're actually greeted by a bunch of humans. Actually, if we go around, we can actually find the king and queen, and even our mom? Something doesn't feel right here, but they're not attacking us, so... As we go across both sides of the stairwells, nothing really happens until we come back the second go around and we feel a shift in the area. As we explore these places again, we actually are greeted with by the two generals of Magus's army, Flea and Slash. After our heartfelt battle, we are actually allowed to progress farther into the castle. As we progress farther into the castle, we actually run into Ozzy, a man that we've already met before on the bridge and Frog has a personal history with when he was turned into this form of himself. He, not really a fighter, he's more of an obstacle that just slightly inconveniences you. After quickly disposing of Ozzy, we are allowed to go up to Magus's keep and we are introduced to the Fiend Lord himself. He's in the middle of a ritual to summon Lavos, so we progress to stop him. We were able to defeat him, however, we are under the misconception that this ritual was to create Lavos. In reality, he was just bringing Lavos out of hiding. He did not create this creature. The creature was already here. With a portal opening up, we are sent flying once again, and into a dream sequence. We actually find ourselves back in the beginning of the game, but this time it's not Mom waking us up, it's Marl, and we're married? As we wake up, we actually are woken up by Allah in the year 65 million BC. However, there's no Magus next to us. After we leave the hut, we actually find that a village to the north was burnt down by the Reptites. With this, Ayla was very upset by it and decides that she is going to go fight the Reptite leader and stop this once and for all. However, we are not going to let her go alone. After we follow Ayla up the mountain, we actually then confront her and tell her that she does not need to do this alone. So, she calls some pterodactyls down so we could all fly to the Reptite's lair and do this as a team. As we land at the lair, we actually are able to defeat a bunch of the Reptites inside of it and release a bunch of villagers that have gotten captured, including Kino himself, which got captured shortly after we left him at the village. As we make it to the end, we actually run into Azela, and she actually has a big giant dinosaur ready for us to fight. As we defeat Azela, she informs us that it's just far too late. The big glowing star in the sky is actually coming close and it's going to land at this castle. As we look up, we do see a meteor coming down at us. Ayla then says, Lavos, and informs us that in her people's tongue, La means fire and Vos means big, hence the name Lavos. The meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs is the creature that will bring its destruction in 1999. As Azela tells us to get out of there, we fly off on our pterodactyls, only to then see that when we come back, the Reptite's lair is now a giant crater, and that Lavos buried itself faster than we could even get here into the center of the earth. However, Lavos did leave us a gate. As we jump into this gate, we actually emerge into a cave, and once we go outside, it's cold. It's an endless winter. But we do see in the distance there is a structure, and this structure does not look prehistoric. Actually, it looks quite magical. As we go in, we actually stand to a platform that shoots us up into the sky, and we're in beautiful sky islands. We then find out that we're actually in a place called Zeal, It's an entire magic kingdom, and it seems their technology is a lot more advanced than anything we would expect. Actually, as we start exploring the structures, we run into a young boy with a cat, and he then informs us that one of us will perish soon. With that in mind, we actually keep exploring the Zeal Kingdom, and we will eventually end up at the palace. As we go through, we end up in a bedchamber where we actually find that same boy whose name is Janus. And apparently the princess is his sister Scala. As they talk with each other, Scala gives Janus a pendant that will protect him if anything goes bad, because they both feel an impending doom about to occur upon this kingdom. Scala then informs Janus that she has to go to their mother, while Janus refuses that whatever this woman is not his mother. Whatever happened, his mother went into madness. As we follow Scala, we actually realize that she has a pendant very similar to the one that Marl currently possesses. With a little bit of tweaking and magical powers, we are now able to open up any doors that we've seen across time that look like they belong from this timeline, which we ran into quite a few actually. As we run into the Queen's chamber, we are actually greeted by 4 individuals: Dalton, the Queen's guard, a prophet, Scala, and the Queen herself. As we enter, the Queen is confused about who we are, but the prophet then informs her that we are actually the intruders that he has warned her about. With this in mind, she sends Dalton to attack us, and Dalton leaves in a golem. As Dalton leaves a golem, we are in for a difficult boss fight. However, we severely lose. We are then trapped in a chamber where Scala then comes out to save us. As she saves us, she informs us to go find the Guru of Life, but as we are being informed this, the prophet then appears and he tells Scala that we do not belong. As he informs us to show him where we came out from, he sends us through the portal while Scala then locks our way to this timeline out. As we land on the other side, Marl then starts thinking about the pendant and the doors we saw, and she somehow remembers that there were some of these doors in the future timeline. With a destination in mind and idea how to open up these doors, we head to the future timelines to see what these doors have to uncover for us. As we land on the future timeline, we head back to the Proto-Dome, where they do inform us that if you take the sewer right next door, we actually will be able to get to the southern continent of where we need to go. As we go through the sewers and battle all the monsters within it, we pop out the other side and actually see that there is a mountain and a dome right next to it. As we go to the dome, this one's abandoned. However, there is a new that is in this area that is from ancient times. As we use our medallion to open up the secret door, we actually head in and find secret reports from the Guru of Reason. His name is Balthazar. In Balthazar's reports, he already states what we've known so far. Lavos is a creature from far beyond our time. In the year 600, Magus releases him for a brief moment, and in the year 1999, Lavos emerges once again to bring destruction to the world. With all this knowledge, Balthazar decides to make this logs, in the hopes that somebody will come across it someday to make everything right. And he makes his last great invention. He states that only people from across time will have the power it takes to defeat Lavos. So, before he loses his mind, he sets these logs up, and the noon that we saw before that carries the last of his consciousness, and he makes his last invention. As we open the last door, we see a giant machine. And as we try to leave, the new from before comes in to set its final piece into motion. This is a time machine that we call the Epoch. This will be our way of going from one point in time to another without using gates. With the Epoch in hand, we are able to go back to the time of magic and make our way to try to find the Guru of Life himself. As we find the underground group of survivors that are on the surface, we are able to take the caves to fight more monsters, leading to a chain that takes us to the Guru of Life. The Guru of Life is being held captive on floating islands, being protected by monsters. As we make our way through, we do find the Guru of Life. However, he's being trapped in a block of ice. And this block of ice is being defended by a massive creature. As we defeat the creature, the Guru of Life is set free, and it turns out to be Melchinor. However, he doesn't know who we are. This seems to be the youngest version of Melchinor we know. With Melchinor by our side, we descend the mountains once again to go to the underground survivor's lair. And as we were there, Scala does make an appearance and informs us that the Ocean Palace is ready and we cannot stop it. During all this, Dalton does come out and he captures Scala once again and takes her back to the palace. With all this, we go on our way to go save Scala, and we head our way back to Zeal's palace. However, when we go to the Queen's chamber, it's not the Queen waiting for us, but Dalton. As we defeat Dalton, he feels as if he cannot fall here since eternal life is right in his grasp, so he decides to disappear instead, leaving a gate open for us so we could go to the Ocean Palace. We fight our way through the Ocean Palace, going through waves and waves of monsters and fiends, only to be met with Dalton again. However, this time he doesn't come alone. He brings his Golem sisters. One extremely tough boss fight later, we come out victorious. As we go into the next room, we see the Queen is forcing Scala to control the Mamma machine. But she is putting everything she got into it, being forced by her mother. She is slowly getting weak. As we were seeing this, we were told to use the blade onto the Mamma machine itself, only to realize this is the earliest version of the Masamune blade. However, it's too late. We can't stop what's about to happen, and Lavos is summoned. As we stand in front of the creature that brought destruction to this world, we prepare for a fight that we have been training for this entire time, only to just be defeated outright. With this, the prophet does come out, revealing himself as Magus. And as he tries to overpower Lavos, he is no match. As the Queen stands with Lavos, we've lost. Our comrades are down, and we are completely outpowered. However, we will not give up. As we stand up, we ready our blade against Lavos, and under the Queen's amusement, the thought of us trying to fight the powerful Lavos gives us one final attack. We remember that little boy telling us that one of us will meet our end. And he's right, for with Lavos' last attack, we are blown to nothingness. After our demise, our comrades are heartbroken. However, they don't have time to mourn our loss. They are in front of Lavos, and if they do not leave, Lavos will kill them just as well as they killed me. So with Shala's last of her powers, she is able to send everybody to safety, although not herself. She is just far too weak. So with Magus and our party members being sent to the surface, the Sky Islands fall into the ocean, causing a giant tsunami wave that will ravage the surface. After our party members awaken, they do realize that they are in a hut and Magus is nowhere to be found. While checking the base of the mountain, you actually realize that a lot of the Zeal residents were able to escape the Sky Islands before collapsing, but they are lost now. They do not know what to do. Eventually, Dalton does make an appearance, and as he starts claiming that this is now the new empire of Dalton and he is now their supreme ruler, he does notice the crew there and decides that they better stay out of his way. He then knocks them out with a dirty shot and steals the epoch to be his personal throne, imprisoning the crew in his airship. When the crew eventually wakes up in their prison, they realize that all their equipment is stolen from them. All their weapons, equipment, items, and money was taken from them while they were knocked out. So they have to go find all these items before they can even make an escape. After exploring the entirety of the ship, they do eventually make it out to the wing of the ship where they do fight a Golem sister. However, this Golem sister is not like the ones we've currently fought recently. Apparently this one's afraid of heights and tends to cry and give up on the fight after a short while. This does anger Dalton, so he comes to finish the job himself. But our crew are not pushovers and they do not like the fact that Dalton has taken the epoch. So they jump onto the ship and a fight does commence. Very easily they do take out Dalton, and very accidentally they do take out his giant ship. After getting their ship back, they feel as if there might be a way to find Chrono. There is disbelief that he is gone. So they search the surface. After a bit of searching, they do find Magus sitting at the peak of a mountain not that far off. As we approach him, he informs us that this is not the first time he has been in this predicament. This happened once before, although he does say he was a different person back then. After Magus informs us of this, we are given a flashback sequence showing the event in question. We are thrown back into the Empress's chamber, and we do see the Empress there with her daughter Shala and her son Janus. But there are the 3 gurus there as well. We do recognize the Guru of Life, Melchior. We do see the Guru of Reasoning, which is Balthazar, the same man that made the Epoch. And then we do see another Guru of Time named Jasper. Each one of them were trying to oppose the Queen, and in doing this, they had gates open beneath them, each one being sent to a different point in time. Melchior was sent to the present, Balthazar was sent to the far future, while Jasper was sent to nothingness. But there was a 4th portal that did open up, and that one swallowed the sun Janus, sending him over to 600 AD, where when he steps out, he is met by Ozzy. We do find that Janus eventually becomes the Fiend Lord himself, Magus. And in all of his rage and anger, his entire life was devoted to bringing Lavos back so he could kill him for what he did to him and his sister. When the flashback sequence ends, the crew finds themselves back on the east side of the mountain with Magus, while Magus informs them that if they stay the course, they'll meet the same fate as us. With Frog in your crew, you actually have a decision to make. Does Frog fight and kill Magus here and now, or does he just walk away? From this point on in the story, things do change depending on what you do. From this point, a lot of options get open and left behind, and this is one of them. Do you kill Magus or do you let Magus go? For the point of the story that I played, I'll be telling the time as I see and as I played it, and then I'll touch on the different things that could happen as time goes on. So in this point of time, Frog finds that Magus is not worth it, that killing him will not bring back ourselves or Cyrus from their grave. So the crew starts to leave, and Magus informs them that there is a way to bring us back. That the Guru of Time does have a way to reset the balance of time to its original state. We were not meant to die there. However, we did. So there may be hope to bring us back to reset the order to its natural time. As Magus joins the crew, they have a good idea where to start their search. Every single time during this journey, whenever there was a stump, a roadblock, or no idea where to go, the old man at the end of time usually pointed us in the right direction. So, they go to talk to him. Perhaps he knows where the Guru of Time is at. Once the crew gets to the end of time, they do go talk to the old man. The old man does realize our absence, and he asks them what happened. In telling him that we have fallen, he plays us a ballad called The Memories of Chrono. After this, they do ask him if he knows where the Guru of Time is at. Even though he does know, he asks them why are they looking for him. And they inform him that they wish to bring me back to life. The old man does sympathize with them, and he informs them that they are not the first person to have this wish, nor are they the last, and that we should feel honored to have friends such as them. As the crew tries to leave feeling defeated, the old man does call them back and hand them an egg. Confused, they ask him what it is, and he informs them that this is the Chrono Trigger. This time egg will make it possible to bring me back from the dead. However, he is not sure how it works, nor if it will even work. He informs them that they have to find the Guru of Reason, Balthazar, and he will know how to activate this time egg. With a destination in mind, the crew does go to the future timeline to talk to the new that holds Balthazar's last consciousness. When they talk to the new, Balthazar does inform them that Death Peak is a place with immense power that has the ability to bring somebody back to life, but it's not as simple as getting up there and using the time egg. There's a few prerequisites that must be met before this happens. First one is that the need must be great and the person's existence is the utmost importance. The second one is that we need an identical doll to replace us in the moment of death. He informs us that the magician Beckler actually will be able to make a doll for us. However, we've never really met a Beckler. He tells us that if there is a fair, Beckler is not far behind. So if we could find one, we'll definitely find Beckler. And lucky for us, the Millennial Fair is on its way in the present year. As the crew heads to the fair, they'll be able to find Beckler. And playing a game for him, he'll actually sell them a identical doll of Chrono. But his prices are very high, so the caveat is the more you win his game, the less the price is. Once you lose, the price is set, so if you have a lot of money, this isn't really that big of an issue. However, if you don't, well, you better start racking up some money or start racking up some wins. After they receive the doll, Beckler will actually send it to Chrono's house, and when going there, you'll actually meet Chrono's mom, and she's asking about her son. She's asking about us. And they don't have the heart to tell her that we perished, especially because they fully believe this is going to work. We retrieve the doll and we head back up to the future timeline, and we go talk to the Nu that holds Balthazar's last consciousness. He sends some dolls up into the mountain to guide us on our way, and as the Nu comes out, Balthazar then informs us that the last of the Nu's directives are fully completed. So with this, Balthazar asks us for a favor and says since the Nu's directives are fully done, the Nu is now able to rest, so he asks us to shut the Nu down for good. As the crew shuts the Nu down, their next direction is to go to Death's Peak. As they head up, they fight spawns of Lavos, monsters alike, and deal with the hard winds. However, the doll that Balthazar threw up there all help us along the way. Reaching the peak, the crew is able to use their Chrono Trigger, and once the egg snaps, nothing happens for a bit. Then suddenly they are brought back to the time of my falling. They grab me and replace me with a doppelganger. When we fell, we watched the doppelganger get destroyed in the last second. And we were grabbed and brought back forward in time after the events of this. So when we awaken, we're greeted by our friends. And with a teary-eyed Marl, she jumps into our shoulders and cries and tells us everything that happened and that they missed me. With us back in fighting order, Jasper informs us that we can go fight Lavos, but he also says there are also points in time that we should visit that could help us on this journey, and gives us a small synopsis of where in time they are, but he informs us that our crew may have a better idea of what these events may entail. Now, with all the things you're able to do at this point with your crew members, none of it is mandatory. If we so please, we could actually jump into the bucket right behind Jasper and go fight Lavos on the day of his awakening. On a side note, you could also just go to the Black Omen in the sky, and this Black Omen appeared right after your first defeat with Lavos. But the difference is that this Omen is everywhere in time. And the unique thing about this place is that it is all connected. You destroy it in one timeline, it will destroy it in all the others. So we have a lot of leeway here. Even though the character-specific stuff are side stories, and you don't necessarily need to do it to finish the game, I will be talking about them, although they might not be in long detail, but I will be touching on each and every one of them, just so that you have an idea of what they're about, and they also nicely clean up a lot of the character stories. There is actually one story here that revolves around Frog. If you talk to some locals, they actually talk about a fallen hero's soul that actually reaps the catacombs right north on the Eastern Islands. This is the soul of Cyrus, and by going some back and forth, you're actually able to take Frog to put Cyrus's soul to rest, and with that, fully go into his destiny of being the hero, fully unlocking the Masamune's power, making it his strongest weapon in the game. With Robo, we could actually take him to the future to actually help his programming and make him a lot stronger. In doing this, he actually fights against the robotic computer that dictates him, saying that he's a failure. But with us by his side, Robo actually defeats and shuts down the entire facilities itself, gaining a permanent buff to his stats. There's also a forest that could actually be regrown in the year 600. However, in present time, it just wasn't possible. So if we go to the year 600, we are able to actually defeat the monsters that's causing this little drought in this area. And we could leave Robo there for about 400 years to replant the forest. When we actually go forward in time to go pick him up again, he is in very bad shape. So Luca fixes him back up. And in talking about it, they all talk about times they wish they could revisit. Luca doesn't really touch on this very often, however, during the nighttime when they're all asleep, a red gate opens, and when Luca walks into it, it thrusts her back in time into her childhood. A day that she regrets, a day where her mother was actually harmed in an experiment accident, and she wasn't able to help her. However, with adult Luca there, she's able to save her mom from the accident, and she's now able to walk again. Doing this, Robo actually talks to Luca, gives her a special gift, and with it, she now has a unique accessory that could bring her back from the dead. Next is the Rainbow Stone, and we could actually go talk to the explorer that actually gave us a bunch of tips while we were exploring the year 600 that actually helped us a lot. He actually informs us that he's actually looking for the rainbow shell and tells us where he thinks it's at. If we go there first, we actually find the Reptide's lair that was destroyed when Lavos landed on it, but most of it was actually pushed underground where a lot of the Reptides actually still live. Progressing through it, we actually do find the rainbow shell, and we actually tell the king of the year 600 to take it in for us. As his soldiers bring it in, they build a cell and it becomes a family heirloom for us to take later on. As we jump to the future, the king is now being put on trial, and it is up to us to prove his innocence. Actually, he's actually being accused of stealing and selling the rainbow shell, but, you know, we know where it's at. It's in the cellar, so we go prove it, and we save the king's life to only find out that the chancellor once again was kidnapped, and he was replaced with a fiend that was a descendant of the exact same fiend that did the same thing in the 600-year timeline. Defeating the fiend, saving the chancellor, and proving the king's innocence, Marl reconnects with her father, and we are allowed to jump to where we need to go and take the rainbow shell. However, we don't know what to do with it, so Melchior actually comes to the castle and tells us that he can actually make the shell into something spectacular, and he makes us some equipment, up to our choice. Next thing we need is the Sunstone, but this requires a lot of back and forth jumping through time. To start this off, we actually have to find the Moonstone in the future timeline to bring it back to the prehistoric timeline and set it in the Sun Temple, where it will sit for the next million years. However, when we go to present time, the stone is missing. Apparently somebody swiped it and was given to this family in present day. However, the head of the family is very greedy and does not want to let it go for anything, actually. So we had to go back in the past, treat his family very well so that they could actually return kindness to others in the future, which when we do go there, he gives it to us free of charge. After we get the Moonstone back in the family, we'll actually place it back at the Sun Temple and then go to the future timeline to pick up the now new Sunstone. Taking the Sunstone back to present day will allow Luca to convert the energy of the Sunstone into a new weapon for her, and you are now able to take the Sunstone back to Melchior so he can make you a weapon himself called the Rainbow. Next thing we could do is go deal with Ozzy. After Magus's fall, Ozzy took over, and with Magus in our group, we go and handle Ozzy, defeating him and stopping the fiends once and for all, which in doing so, in the future, fiends actually live side by humans now. Although doing these things are not required to beat the game, doing them is a very big help. You get the Rainbow Shell, you get some equipment that actually prevents status ailments. You get the Sunstone, you can actually take it back to Melchior and get yourself a sword that will give you a 70% critical rate on all your attacks. Some of your players may actually get their best weapons, such as Frog's Masamune and Luca's new gun, but others just have their stories wrapped up, ready to go just so you can go finish everything and feel like everything has been accounted for. After you do all these side stuff for your characters, and everybody's ready to go, all that's needed is to defeat Lavos. And again, you could jump into the bucket and go to the Day of Lavos, but in this story, I will be going to the Dark Omen with my crew. And as we go there and progress through the entirety of this dungeon, once we get to the end, we run into the Queen once more. She fights us to stop us from what we're doing and actually put us in an eternal nightmare for Lavos. But in every step of the way, we stop her. We stop her in her physical form, we fight the Mammon machine and destroy it, then we fight her in her ultimate form. After we defeat the Queen in her ultimate form, she actually ceased to exist. Same with the Black Omen. In all timelines, the Black Omen just vanishes. And we are plopped right in front of Lavos once again. However, this time, we are prepared. Lavos actually is a very unique boss in this sense. For every time you fight him, you are actually fighting a boss you fought previously. showing how far you've really come in this game. As you defeat every layer of boss battle after boss battle after boss battle, you'll eventually fight Lavos' shell. And then once you defeat Lavos' shell, it's not over. You jump inside of Lavos just to be greeted with a giant creature in its belly. As we defeat this massive creature, it disintegrates, showing its actual form, the real form of Lavos, a grotesque creature that feels as if all of life is in it. With Lavos finally in front of us, we are sent greening through time with him. In the back, we could actually see all the timelines melding together into this one creature, and we are set to stop it. As we defeat Lavos, we are awakened at home by the royal guard, telling us that the king actually requests our presence. When we go there, we are still being accused of kidnapping his daughter. However, very strangely, the king from the year 600 and the old elder from the Protodome in the future are all here, plus Kino as well. We don't know what's happening, but apparently it was Luca's intuition to bring these people here so that the king could actually be told what has been going on throughout time, so that we actually won't be prosecuted. Instead, we'll be hailed as heroes for saving all of time. With this, the king tells us that the fair is still happening and that Marl is free to go with us, just so she could celebrate her last night. As we go to the fair, we start having fun, messing around, seeing everybody happy. We see our mom there. Luca's mom is walking. And in the back, where all of this began, we have all of our friends. It's time to say goodbye. Kino and Alla are the first to go, and now that Marl knows that Kino and Alla are her ancestors, she tells them to play well with each other, and they say their goodbyes. Next, it's Frog and the king. Together, they say their goodbyes, and with a peck from Marl, Frog is off to be the knight he was always destined to be. Next is Magus. And just as Magus is, he's a man of little words when he just doesn't want to speak. He already has a goal in mind, and he's gonna go look for his sister. And without a single goodbye, Magus jumps into the portal to start his search. And next is Robo and the Elder. And although Robo is trying to be chipper, he already knows that because we changed the timeline, he may cease to exist once he goes back. And we may never see Robo ever again. Even as these gates close forever, and even if we found a way to open them back up in the future, there is a strong chance Robo's existence ends right here, right now. With a teary goodbye from Luca, and what we could call a teary goodbye from Robo, the Elder and Robo go back to their original time, and the time gates fully close. I would like to say that this would be a happy ending, but before the gates could fully close, my cat jumps into the gate with my mother right behind him. And the gates close with them on the wrong side of it. So, luckily for us, we do have the epoch, so we can't just stop now. Our next adventure is to go look for our mom across all of time. And maybe, as we venture through, we'll see our friends again. After some time passes, we do get to see where all of us ended up. Alla and Kino are now officially married in prehistoric times, setting up the royal family. Frog finally gets his body back, and he is now a full-fledged knight of the kingdom. Us and Marl are getting married. And Luca? She's on her own adventure, creating a prototype of Robo, and finding a young child with a pendant in the forest. Well, who this child could be, that's a story for another time. Although we do reach the ending for this timeline, there are 13 others. Some with drastic changes to the ending, some with not. And I could go through them all here and now, but I believe that that's something that you should go look for yourself. Experience those endings yourself. Fight those challenges to get them. And I'm sure once you find them, you'll feel like it's worth it. To me, Chrono Trigger is the perseverance of life. It didn't matter where these characters came from. They all came from different timelines for the most part. They were all in different eras, different mindsets. And yet they were all connected by one singular goal. And it was to defeat Lavos and protect all of humanity, all of life, the future. And with that kind of camaraderie, you're able to face anything. Yes, they all come from different timelines, but this kind of threat they could not face by themselves. And with each other, they were able to push themselves beyond anything they thought they could do. Able to travel through time and fight a monster that destroyed the world. And they won. Changing time forever and leaving the future to be unknown. Now, is the story to Chrono Trigger unique? No, it's not. Just like any other media or any other stories, somebody else has done the same take later on. Chrono Trigger may not be different. The story may have been told after. It may have been told before. It may have been told better. The difference is that this game was told in a way that connected with thousands and thousands of kids that grew up just to remember this game so fondly, such as myself. It's the first time I experienced a story like this, and it stuck with me. And it's gonna stick with me to the end of my days. There's a reason my name is Chrono. It's because I love this game. It's my favorite game of all time. And it probably always will be. To me, Chrono Trigger is a masterpiece. Its music, its combat, its character designs, its story, all of it comes together. And to remember that this game came out over 20 years ago, and it's still on the minds and charts as one of the best games ever created, that's wonderful. It's magical, and it's well deserved. So if you take anything from this video, play Chrono Trigger. Experience it for yourself, because the way I've described it will not do it justice. The way somebody else describes it will not do it justice. If you enjoy JRPGs, this should be a no-brainer to play. And you could find this game very easily to play. It's on Steam, you have mobile ports of it. Go and play it. Go experience it for yourself, and hopefully, by the end of it all, you love it just as much as I do. There are many people that I'd like to thank for this video. This is not the first time I've been trying to make this video. I've been trying to make this video for many, many years, and I have not been able to just sit down and get it right. I was trying to make this video perfect, and I was never going to get it perfect, and it took a very long time for me to kind of come to terms with that. And it helps that I had friends to push me along the way. So, my friends, I thank you so much. I thank you for everything you've done, and I thank you for pushing me to do this. This is not something I'm used to. Everything I did myself. I did the editing, the voice recording. I also got the video footage myself in my Twitch stream. And anything that I did not get from my Twitch, I will be putting a source of where I got them, so that you guys could go and support them as well. If you do enjoy Chrono Trigger, please go give love to these two individuals that actually inspired me to make a video like this. I know I'm still rough around the edges. I know that there's a lot more I need to learn, and I would appreciate if anybody has any tips or tricks for me to make my editing better, or maybe make my audio better. Please let me know. And if you do want to interact with me more, all the Chrono Trigger footage I got from my Twitch channel. I streamed the entirety of this game and I grabbed all the footage from there. So if you want to join me on my next game or my next project, come give me a follow on Twitch. And please subscribe to this channel, because I would hope to see you again, and hopefully you could see me get better and better. And maybe someday I could come back to this game and really give it the justice it deserves once I get better at this. To everybody that got this far, thank you very much for listening to me ramble about a game I love. And I hope I gave it enough justice for you to enjoy it. So thank you very much for everything, and thank you for watching this video. And I hope I'll see you all on my Twitch channel or in my next video.